Hey everyone, this is Sona Wave. Hope everyone had a safe and happy Christmas. I'd also like to wish everyone a happy New Year. This will be going up at 12:01 on New Year's Day for those of us here in Australia. It'll be New Year's Eve for America and such. But I do just want to wish everyone a happy New Year. Since the next one won't actually be up for a few days, and by then, well, we'll have already come and gone. But America is now actually starting to see the Studio Series 86 figures popping up. I think New Zealand has actually started seeing them as well, so that's good. It's good news for everyone. Hopefully everyone can get a hold of them and not have too many issues. I think the Kingdom stuff is also starting to pop up in America, so we'll be seeing that soon enough here. I'm still hoping that Studio Series leader Grimlock will show up as well. There's been no word on it as of yet, so fingers crossed we do see him. Worst case, if he doesn't show up in shops, there is Zing and EB Games who are carrying him, I believe. So if you haven't pre-ordered him and you don't want to risk him not being in the shops, I would recommend jumping on that pre-order now if that is what you want to do. It couldn't hurt, I don't think. The choice ultimately is up to you. And Earthrise dropped yesterday, about dinner time for those of us here in Australia, so 6, 7 depending on where you are. 6 o'clock if you were in Queensland, because we don't do daylight savings in Queensland. 7 o'clock for everyone else who does do daylight savings was when it dropped. I'm not going to say anything other than I personally did enjoy Earthrise, and I'm hoping that other people who have seen it have enjoyed it as well. But if you do write anything about Earthrise in the comments, no spoilers. Let's try to keep it anything spoiler free about Earthrise until I think most of the pages are doing about a week on Facebook. Spoiler free for about a week, which is fair. It gives people time to track it down, to watch Earthrise. They may not have time to just sit there and binge watch it. So having a spoiler-free week, I think, is fair. If I do find any spoiler-related posts on my page, in my comments, I will remove them as well, because I don't like having things spoiled for me, and I don't like spoiling things for other people. So I do want to try and keep that as fair as possible. Now, I did actually get to watch it myself when it dropped, so yeah, I've already seen it and I enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that other people who have seen it have enjoyed it, or at least liked it more than they liked Siege. And I'm actually looking forward to Kingdom, even though I didn't like Beast Wars. I never watched it. It never interested me. But I am actually looking forward to seeing what they do with Kingdom. I'm looking very forward to that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else comes out next year for the Transformers line. I'm looking forward to seeing what new stuff that they're going to give us. So I'm excited to see Studio Series Dino. We haven't had an official one, so I'm excited for him. I'm excited for Studio Series Starscream. Those are probably two of my big to get ones. rumor is that we can expect to see Unicron starting to get shipped out. I think January, sometime in January. I'm not sure. There's been no official word yet, but that seems to be the theory. And as I've said, I won't be doing a review on him. I just don't have the facilities or the room to deal with something that big. I couldn't even do a review on something like a Mega Supreme or on Scorponok. I just don't have that room to review something that big. I don't have the equipment for it. But maybe in another year I can have better stuff, and I'll be able to do bigger reviews and better reviews. So there is that. So I suppose we'll probably find out in the next couple of weeks what's going on with Unicron. They were testing shipping methods and such to make sure the box would hold up. So if they were doing that, I would imagine he's not going to be that far off from being released to everyone. But again, I suppose we'll find out in the coming 2-3 weeks maybe. Yeah, it's hard to say. And I definitely won't be getting the buzzworthy line, quite frankly. I find it ridiculous. Why on earth do we need an entire subline that's almost entirely dedicated to Bumblebee when there is so much of him already in the main line? I just don't understand the logic in that. I'm sorry. I understand that Bumblebee is a popular character, that he's always been a popular character. But there are other equally popular characters out there too. And they don't get nearly as much of a flogging as Bumblebee does. And I would quite frankly like a break from Bumblebee. But that's just how I feel. I know there are people out there who are looking forward to it, and that's perfectly fine. But me personally, I find that the fact they're doing it completely ridiculous. But again, that's just how I feel. I just don't think it's necessary, but again, that's just my opinion. That's just how I feel. But I think that's it for news. At least that's all I know. There might be more, but that's all I really know off the top of my head at the moment. But tonight I'm kicking off New Year's with a review about Studio Series 86 Cup, who I actually had more trouble transforming him than I actually should have, because his directions suck. They suck and they're annoying, and I did not like them one bit. I eventually figured it all out on my own and how to transform him, but the directions were horrible. But like all the other 86 stuff, it comes with a scene from the movie, in this case the giant squid from, I think it was Planet Quintessa. Planet Quintessa. It's also when he got injured. I think he actually literally came apart and Hot Rod had to fix him. This I actually had to go and look up because I had no clue what the hell it was at all. And it turns out it's an Energon goodie dispenser. I was talking to a friend of mine because he had no clue what the hell this was either. And I told him, he's like, it's a what? A goodie dispenser. I'm sorry, what? Essentially, it's a lolly dispenser. Oh. So, there you go. For some reason, he's got a lolly dispenser. Not entirely sure why. Really can't explain that one. Then, of course, you've got his gun. Made in the same... It's the same as the... Similar sort of colour to up here. So, I know the... It sucks the zoom on this thing, but then again, my actual camera has sucky zoom as well, so doesn't make much of a difference. But getting him out of this mode is actually easier than getting him into it. Oops. Yeah. That's actually meant to be able to come off. Not quite for that purpose, but yeah, you'll find that both arms and legs can actually detach. And there's Cup back in his robot mode, which I think they did a good job with. I don't have any other versions of Cup, so I've got nothing to compare him to. But I do like the way he turned out. My friend asked me about the head sculpt. He said, is he meant to look like an old man? I said, yeah, he's meant to look like an old man. I'm pretty sure he's older than Ratchet and Ironhide, so yeah, he's meant to look like an old man and tells stories like one. Not entirely sure how much of his stories is true and how much of it is just him telling tall tales. Of course, you know, you never get a straight answer out of him for it. So you're just left wondering, is he telling the truth or is he just telling another tall tale again? But we all know that he enjoys telling the stories, and Grimlock and Dinobots, most of all, love hearing his stories. And they really enjoy when he tells them. all these old stories, and it's hilarious. And if you've got the Dinobots, you could actually recreate the scene from when they're in the ship after leaving Earth, and you can have him sitting in a chair somewhere with the Dinobots around him while he tells them a story. Oh, but as you saw before, both arms do actually pop off quite easily, and both legs are designed to do exactly the same thing. So you can also recreate that scene on Quintessa when he was hurt and had to be put back together by Hot Rod. He was surprisingly good at it. No, I shouldn't be that mean. I do like Hot Rod. Yes, I know. Unpopular opinion, but I do actually like Hot Rod. My first introduction to him was the Bay movies, and then I think it was animated where it was called Rodimus Minor, I think. And then after that, I went back to G1 where I originally met the original Hot Rod, and then most recently was, of course, Cyberverse. And I would have to say I like the Cyberverse version of him quite a lot. He seems to be the favourite of the different iterations of Hot Rod that I've seen. I think even in Armada, Hotshot, his Japanese name was Hot Rod, but he also had that personality. He looked like Bumblebee, but he was very much like Hot Rod. He was very brash and jumped headlong into things. He was reckless, tended to put his pet in his mouth. He tended to get himself into trouble and in over his head. He was often at odds with Red Alert. So, yeah, there was a lot of Hot Rod's character in him, and it wasn't until much later in Armada that he actually looked a little more like Hot Rod, but for most of it he looked like Bumblebee. So, whereas Cup has been absent from a lot of media. I don't think he's actually been in anything since Generation 1. I don't remember hearing about him being in anything since that time until Cyberverse. He was in Season 3 of Cyberverse for a little bit. I don't remember how long for, but he was there for a few episodes at least, and he was very much like his G1 counterpart. He came across as the grizzly old soldier. He was the one telling the story for those particular episodes that he was in, and he was almost seemed to be like a mentor to Whirl to some degree. I think I don't know what set of comics or anything, but I'm pretty sure in one he was listed as being part of the Wrecker unit. If I have that wrong, please let me know. A lot of different mecha have been put on the Wrecker roster in different versions of the in different versions of it. Obviously for Bay you've got Leadfoot, Roadbuster and Topspin. Roadbuster and Topspin are both wreckers in different versions as well. Roadbuster is even mentioned in Transformers Prime along with Springer, when Wheeljack is talking to Bulkhead about their former teammates who obviously passed away. And Sea Spray was mentioned. I think Perceptor has been on the list for one version. Drift. And obviously Ultra Magnus was the leader of the Wreckers as well for Transformers Prime. But yeah, apart from Generation 1, I don't remember Cup being in any of the cartoon or live action media. He's obviously been in different comics, and that's since G1, but not in any of the actual visual media on TV. So the fact that, you know, he was in Cyberverse and he's got a new toy out. I think he may have been in Combiner Wars or something. He had a Combiner Wars toy, I think. But yeah, to that fact that he was in Cyberverse was pretty cool, and that he's got another new toy, and it's very accurate to how he looked in G1, both in his robot mode and his vehicle mode as well, because like many of the residents of Autobot City, they didn't have a vehicle Earth mode. They stuck with their Cybertronian Earth modes. So Hot Rod, RC, Springer, they all had those Cybertronian modes, whereas I think Ultra Magnus had been on Earth longer and had by that time adopted a Earth vehicle mode and appeared as an Earth car carrier. And Robots in Disguise 2001 Ultra Magnus was also a very large car carrier. It was capable of carrying all three Autobot brothers around with ease, and it seems to be something that sticks with the different iterations of Ultra Magnus. He's always been a massive character. Even in animated, he was this big character. He was, you know, taller than the others around him. So, but Cup's always been small. Well, average. He's the average size for most Transformers. You line him up next to those like Jazz and Prowl and such, and he'll be around the same size as they are. But I think Ratchet and Ironhide were a little taller. Obviously the mini-bots are smaller, but yeah, he was always around the average size for Transformers, so small compared to some, the same height to others, and taller depending on who he was with, really. But he also proved that he had quite a bit of sass in him as well. Like, was it? I think it was in the first few episodes of this third season when they were taken captive, and the Quintessons were trying to pass judgment, and he's just being this complete smart ass the entire time. They're asking it, saying you're the security director of Cybertron and blah blah blah, and he's all like, no, my name's Dishwasher, I'm the chief. I'm like, he was just being a smart ass. He couldn't help himself. And Ultra Magnus is in the background going, I know absolutely nothing. I have nothing to do with this. But it worked with his character, you know. He was older. He could get away with being a smart ass. He could get away with being cheeky and a lot of that stuff. He could get away with it. Very much the same way Ratchet would have gotten away with certain things if he was in the medical bay. Even First Aid would be able to get away with things, because when in that domain, it's their word. They are the law. They override everything. And, well, I think Cup's proven he's got absolutely no shame whatsoever, but I've rambled more than enough, and for that I'm sorry. I really, really can't help it. I get on a tangent and I just, yeah. As once I knew how to transform him, it was easy. It was figuring out part of it that was a pain in the ass. And you'll notice these two bits here usually tab into these. Now be warned, they don't necessarily stay stable. They don't stay tabbed in, at least not on mine. The arms tab in along here. So they come up, and then you're going to flip these out, and these will tab in right where the arms do. Now this is where I had trouble because the instructions didn't actually tell me this. The arms actually hinge down. There's a bit here, right there, that allows you to swing the arm down like that. You're going to do that on both sides. And you'll want to do that because when you fold this out, turn his head, and you're going to fold, literally fold him in half. Literally fold him in half. You're going to bring this bit up here like that. Now, the reason you want to be able to hinge the arms down so that they look like this is so that you can do that. Now, that's not going to stay stable for the moment, not until you get the rest of it done. And you're going to repeat that on both sides. So that's how you want him to start looking. Just be wary because these won't stay in place just yet. Then you're going to hinge this part here up. You want to undo that and then tab it in so that it's at an angle. Well, I find it easier to do it like that. So that's how you want the first half to look. So then you come around, and it's exactly the same on this side. So you want to hinge this up, and it's going to slip in here like that. Obviously you want to fold his feet up, and that's most of it done. Now these bits fold down and they're going to tab together. You can see like that, and you're almost done. And then right underneath there's a couple of tabs, and you're going to tab his wrists, well, his fists like that. Then you're going to make sure everything's all nice and secure. Now you have Cup back in his alt mode. And that's it from me. I've well and truly rambled at you for long enough, and I apologise. I really can't help that. I get on the tangent and it just sort of takes the life of its own. But again, Happy New Year to everyone. Stay safe, be kind, and I'll catch you guys next time.